Boom! What if the next global war isn't just a possibility, but already in motion, silently building, one move at a time? With rising tensions, secret alliances, and unpredictable leaders, many are asking a terrifying question. Will there be a World War III? Instead of guessing today, we ask something that doesn't panic, doesn't take sides, and has studied everything from past wars to present politics. We ask AI, what does artificial intelligence, trained on decades of data, predict about the next great global conflict? Who might start it? What would it look like? And most importantly, can we still stop it? You're watching Ask AI. And let's start the questions. To get a clear picture of where the world stands right now, I've asked AI to dive deep, not into the headlines, but into the global undercurrents. It's currently scanning major flashpoints around the world. The Ukraine-Russia war, rising tensions between China and Taiwan, the complex situation in the Middle East, especially Iran, North Korea's threats, and even the quiet but dangerous standoff between India and Pakistan. But this isn't just about troops or tanks. AI is analyzing government moves, military statements, expert warnings, and media reports. From cyber warfare to economic pressures, from proxy battles to shifting alliances. Once it's ready, we'll begin asking the big questions. So I asked ChatGPT to give me a clear and unbiased assessment. How likely is a third world war in the near future? I told it to be logical, direct, no vague answers, no sugarcoating, just honest analysis, not a diplomatic summary. Here's what ChatGPT told me.
Here's a direct and clear assessment based on current geopolitical realities. 1. Global war is not inevitable, but the risk is growing. We are not on the brink of a full-scale global war in the classic World War II sense. In other words, industrial warfare involving multiple great powers deploying millions of troops across continents. Nuclear deterrence, economic interdependence, and public aversion to mass war are still powerful barriers. However, the risk of a regional conflict escalating into a global confrontation has significantly increased due to multiple simultaneous flashpoints, increasingly aggressive rhetoric, and weakening international norms. 2. Flashpoints that could spiral. Ukraine and Russia. This is already a proxy war between Russia and NATO, especially the US, in everything but formal declaration. If Russia uses tactical nuclear weapons, or if NATO intervenes directly, even by accident, this could spiral into a broader NATO-Russia war. Putin's recent nuclear posturing is escalatory, not deterrent, and shows his willingness to push boundaries. Assessment. Most likely to remain a bloody regional proxy war. Global escalation risk is moderate. China and Taiwan. This is the most dangerous flashpoint. A full Chinese invasion would almost certainly draw in the US, Japan, and Australia. The US is increasingly committed to defending Taiwan. China is ramping up military readiness and cyber operations. Any miscalculation, especially in a crisis, for example, a Taiwanese independence vote or blockade, could ignite direct US-China military conflict. Assessment. The most likely spark for World War III in the next 5 to 10 years. Current risk is moderate and growing. Middle East, Iran, Israel, US. The Israel-Iran conflict is rapidly escalating. Iran is closer than ever to nuclear weapons capability. Israel has vowed to prevent this, even unilaterally. Hezbollah, Houthis, and Iranian proxies across the region are already engaging in low-level war. A full Iran-Israel war would likely drag in the US and possibly Russia, given Iran's military ties with Moscow. Assessment. Could ignite a regional war, but unlikely to cause global war unless the US and Russia confront each other directly. Risk is moderate. North Korea. High on threats, low on actual capability to sustain a long war. Still, an attack on South Korea or Japan, accidental or premeditated, could force US involvement. China's response would be critical, likely to support stability, not Pyongyang. Assessment. Dangerous but less likely to cause global war. Risk is low to moderate. India-Pakistan. Both are nuclear powers with unresolved territorial and ideological disputes. Periodic military skirmishes, For example, 2019 Balakot strikes prove how close they come to war. A major terror attack or military incident could trigger nuclear escalation. Assessment. Regional nuclear war risk is real, but less likely to involve global powers. Risk is moderate. 3. Other key factors increasing risk. Multipolar instability. U.S. global dominance has eroded. No one is clearly in charge of global order. Weakened diplomacy, international institutions, UNOSCE, are increasingly sidelined or ignored. Cyber warfare, highly escalatory potential, especially if attacks target infrastructure, for example, energy, communications. Economic decoupling. U.S. China economic relations are deteriorating, reducing interdependence and increasing appetite for conflict. Bottom line. World War III is not imminent, but the conditions for it are slowly materializing. The world is in a pre-war phase where multiple powers are probing limits, forming blocs, US, NATO, Japan versus China, Russia, Iran, and preparing militarily. If a major war does erupt, especially over Taiwan or Iran, it will not remain local. The scale of modern alliances, military technologies, and economic warfare means it could go global quickly. Probability of World War III in next 2 years. Low to moderate, approximately 10-20%. Probability of major regional war escalating to global conflict in next 5-10 years. Moderate to high, approximately 30-50%.
That was intense, and we're just getting started. Next, I wanted to go deeper, so I asked ChatGPT, do current global tensions resemble the situations that led to World War I or II?
Today's global tensions bear strong similarities to both World War I and World War II, though with some key differences. Like World War I, the world is divided into rival blocs, NATO versus Russia, China, Iran, and multiple regional flashpoints. Ukraine, Taiwan, Middle East could trigger a wider war. The danger lies in miscalculation. In 1914, leaders didn't expect a global war to erupt after one assassination. Now, a cyber attack, military clash, or political crisis could set off a similar chain reaction. Like World War II, we're seeing authoritarian regimes testing limits. Russia invading Ukraine, China pressuring Taiwan, Iran expanding influence. This mirrors how Nazi Germany and Imperial Japan pushed boundaries, while the West hesitated to respond forcefully. The risk is that appeasement or weak deterrence may embolden more aggressive moves. What's different today is the presence of nuclear weapons and more global economic ties, which increase the cost of war, but also make the consequences of failure far worse. In short, history doesn't repeat, but it's rhyming. The world isn't in a world war yet, but the conditions are alarmingly familiar.
That's a sharp and sobering breakdown. The historical parallels are undeniable, and the differences, especially nuclear weapons and global interconnectedness, only raise the stakes. My next question is this. Using historical trends and current patterns, how likely is a world war in the next 20 or 30 years?
Using historical trends and current geopolitical patterns, the likelihood of a world war in the next 20 or 30 years is moderate to high, around 40 to 60%, if current trajectories continue. Historically, global conflicts occur when major powers rise or decline, alliances harden, and institutions fail to prevent escalation. We're seeing all three today. U.S. global dominance is waning, China and Russia are aggressively asserting power, and diplomacy is breaking down. These are the same ingredients that preceded both world wars. Current flashpoints: Taiwan, Ukraine, Iran, Israel, North Korea are not isolated. They're tied to a larger struggle for global influence. As military technologies advance, AI, cyber warfare, hypersonics, and nuclear deterrence becomes less stable, the risk of a miscalculated escalation grows. If the next 2 decades bring a major economic crisis, political collapse in a key country, or a failed deterrence moment, like China attacking Taiwan, the chance of a global-scale conflict becomes real. In summary, we're not guaranteed to have a world war. But if global tensions continue to build without serious de-escalation, a large-scale conflict in the next 20 to 30 years is more likely than at any time since 1945.
So I asked ChatGPT, Can diplomacy, global cooperation, or new technologies help us avoid World War III?
Yes, but it depends on how they're used. And how soon. Diplomacy is still the most powerful tool to prevent war. Cold War history shows that even bitter rivals like the US and Soviet Union avoided direct conflict through arms control agreements, red lines, and back-channel talks. Today, diplomacy is weaker, but not dead. If major powers return to serious negotiations, especially on nuclear weapons, cyber rules, and territorial disputes, it could slow or stop escalation. Global cooperation, especially through institutions like the UN, G20, and regional blocs, can reduce tensions, but only if major powers respect those platforms. Right now, those institutions are being ignored or undermined. To work, cooperation must go beyond talk and include enforcement mechanisms. New technologies are a double-edged sword. AI, satellite surveillance, and cyber tools can improve early warning and reduce misunderstandings. But they also make war faster, harder to control, and more unpredictable. If left unregulated, they could trigger the very war they're meant to prevent. In short, yes, these tools can help avoid World War III, but only if leaders act wisely, early, and together. Right now, that's not happening at the scale needed.
We've seen the warning signs before. We know where unchecked aggression, silence, and division can lead. So let me ask the most important question of all. What message would you give to humanity about preventing another world war?
Wake up before it's too late. World War III isn't inevitable, but it's becoming more possible with every ignored warning, broken treaty, and rising act of aggression. Humanity has been here before, twice. Each time, millions died because leaders believed war wouldn't come, or thought it would be short, winnable, or someone else's problem. This time, with nuclear weapons, AI-driven warfare, and global interdependence, we may not survive a third mistake. The message is simple: choose cooperation over conquest, dialogue over domination, and restraint over revenge. Demand leadership that values peace over pride. Fix global institutions. Regulate dangerous technologies, and remember, war doesn't start when bombs fall. It starts when we stop listening. We still have time, but not forever.
So that's what AI thinks. The risks are real, but so are the solutions. War is not destiny, it's a decision. What do you think? Is World War III coming? Or can humanity rise above history? Comment below, share your thoughts, and don't forget to subscribe to Ask AI for more powerful questions and mind-opening answers.